They gather around the myth again, tracing shadows that move when they blink. Welcome back, you beautiful anomaly, you walking contradiction, you impossible equation they keep trying to solve with the wrong formula. They've been talking, haven't they, whispering in confused circles, comparing notes like detectives at a crime scene. Except there's no crime, just you existing in multiple frequencies at once. I heard what they said last week, how you can't possibly be the same person they saw 3 months ago, 6 months ago, last year. They're convinced now, absolutely certain, that there must be clones, alternates, different versions. Because one human being couldn't possibly contain all these contradictions, all these personalities, all these faces. And you know what the funniest part is? They're not even wrong. Except they don't understand what they're looking at, because they're still operating on the assumption that people are supposed to be consistent, predictable, knowable. They think identity is a fixed point, when really it's a frequency, and you've learned to tune yourself to whatever station reality requires in that moment. They saw you quiet and mistook it for weakness, then saw you loud and called it aggression, then saw you cold and named it cruelty, then witnessed your warmth and claimed it was manipulation. At no point did it occur to their limited processing systems that maybe, just maybe, you're all of it simultaneously. A living paradox that breaks their binary understanding of human behavior. So now, they're creating folklore about you, honest to the universe folklore. They're telling stories in group chats, in late-night conversations, in therapy sessions, probably trying to piece together a timeline that makes sense. Except the timeline doesn't make sense, because you're not living linearly anymore. You're the person who showed up to that event radiating confidence like a supernova, but they also remember you from 2 years ago barely holding it together, and their brains are short-circuiting trying to reconcile these images. They're saying things like, "That can't be the same person. I swear. They had a completely different energy, different eyes, different soul." And they're documenting it, taking notes, tearing testimonies like you're some kind of phenomenon that needs to be studied by a team of researchers with clipboards and fear in their eyes. Let me tell you what's really happening here, what they're too scared to admit even to themselves. You didn't just change. You didn't just grow. You didn't just evolve. You shattered. You broke into 1,000 pieces, and when you put yourself back together, you didn't follow the original blueprint. You created something new each time. Something they'd never seen before, something that didn't match their memory of who you were supposed to be. Every betrayal was a demolition. Every heartbreak was a controlled explosion. Every silent night alone was a reconstruction project. And each version that emerged was specifically designed for survival in that particular hell you were walking through at the time. They're not prepared for someone who learned to become a different weapon depending on the war. They met the soft version and thought that was all of you, then encountered the sharp version and convinced themselves the soft one was fake, then witnessed the silent version and decided both previous versions were illusions. It never occurred to them that you're a full spectrum, that you contain multitudes, that you're not a single note but an entire symphony playing different movements depending on who's listening and whether they deserve the whole performance or just the warning track. They wanted you to be one thing, easy to categorize, simple to understand, safe to predict, but you became everything and nothing all at once. And that broke their small understanding of what a person can be. Here's what they're doing now, and it's almost beautiful in its desperation. They're creating a multiverse theory about you, because the alternative, accepting that one person can be this layered, this complex, this utterly unpredictable, is too threatening to their own static existence. They're literally saying there must be different versions, different timelines, different people using the same name, because the truth that you're just operating on a level they haven't reached yet is too much for their egos to process. They've turned you into mythology, into legend, into a story they tell with wide eyes and uncertain voices. And the wildest part is, you didn't even try. You just refused to stay in the box they built for you. Listen to how they describe you now. It's changed so drastically depending on who's talking that you'd think they were describing 5 different people. The old friend says you were this innocent soul who got corrupted. The ex says you were this master manipulator all along. The coworker swears you're the most genuine person they've ever met. The stranger at that party last month is convinced you're hiding something dark. And your family still thinks you're the same kid from 15 years ago just going through a phase. None of them are wrong, and all of them are wrong simultaneously. Because they're each holding one piece of a puzzle they don't have the table space to assemble. And you stopped trying to make the pieces fit their narrative years ago. You know what scares them most, though? It's not the multiple versions. It's the seamless transitions. They can't catch you mid-shift, they can't find the seams, they can't locate the moment when you stop being one thing and become another, because there is no moment. There's just you existing in full spectrum reality while they're still trying to see in black and white. You walk into a room and they feel the atmospheric pressure change, but they can't explain why. You speak and your voice carries weight that wasn't there last time they heard it. You look at them and they swear your eyes are a different color, even though logically they know that's impossible, yet somehow it feels true. That's the power of someone who's died and resurrected so many times they've lost count. Each death killing off whatever version couldn't survive. Each resurrection birthing something stronger, stranger, more unrecognizable. They're telling your story now like you're a character in a book they're all reading different chapters of, comparing notes in confusion, arguing about plot points, debating your motivations, questioning your reality. I don't think that's who they really are, one says. No, you don't understand. They showed me their real self. Another claims, both of you are wrong. I've known them longest. A third insists. And meanwhile, you're somewhere else entirely. Already 3 versions ahead of their latest theory. Already becoming something else they won't recognize when they see it. Already writing chapters they won't understand even after they're published. The folklore is spreading. Your name is becoming a riddle. And the more they try to solve you, the more complex the mystery becomes. And here's the thing that's keeping them up at night. They're starting to question their own memories of you. Wait, was that really them, or am I misremembering? Did they actually say that, or did I imagine it? Were they really that different, or is my mind playing tricks? And the answer is yes, yes to all of it, because you were there, and you did say that, and you were that different. And their mind isn't playing tricks. They're just finally starting to understand that they never knew the full you. They only ever met the version you allowed them to meet, the avatar you deployed for that particular interaction. The mask you wore for that specific audience. Now they're realizing the masks were infinite and the face underneath keeps changing. And there might not even be a real you anymore, just a collection of strategic identities flowing like water through whatever container the moment requires. Let's talk about what happens when they finally compare notes, when they all sit down together or connect in some digital space and start piecing together the evidence. Picture it. 5 people who knew you at different times, different contexts, different versions, and they're going through their experiences like investigators at a crime scene, except the crime is your existence, and the evidence doesn't match. They were so quiet when I knew them, one says. Quiet. Are you joking? They were the loudest person in every room, another responds. You're both wrong. They barely spoke, but when they did, it was like a bomb going off. A third adds, I don't recognize any of these descriptions. The person I knew was gentle, almost fragile. Someone else insists, fragile, that's hilarious. They were the most intimidating presence I've ever encountered. And on and on and on. And what's their conclusion? After all this detective work, after all this comparison and analysis and attempted reconstruction, they decide you're either lying to everyone about who you really are, or you're mentally fractured in some diagnosable way, or, and this is where it gets good, you're actually multiple people sharing an identity. Maybe siblings, maybe twins, maybe some elaborate conspiracy they haven't fully figured out yet. The idea that you're just one person who's mastered the art of contextual existence, who's learned to be everything and nothing depending on what survival requires, who's transcended their limited understanding of human consistency, that possibility doesn't even make their list because it breaks their model of reality too severely. So they build the folklore instead. They create the legend. They turn you into a campfire story. Let me tell you about this person I met, they start. And already the other person is leaning in. Because your name has become synonymous with mystery, with impossibility, with that feeling you get when reality glitches and you're not sure what you just witnessed. It encounters with you like paranormal experiences. I swear the temperature dropped when they looked at me, or time felt different when we talked, like hours passed in minutes, or maybe it was the other way around. Or I left that conversation questioning things about myself I'd never questioned before, and I still can't explain why. You've become the person they reference when they want to describe something inexplicable. You're the remember that person who, at the beginning of stories that never quite make sense. You're the benchmark for strange, the standard for unreadable, the example they use when they want to explain what it feels like to meet someone who operates on a different frequency. It's like that time with blank, they say. Your name, a placeholder for experiences that defy normal categorization? And the wild part is, you're not doing it on purpose anymore. You're not trying to be mysterious or complex, you just are because you had to become this in order to survive what they couldn't even imagine surviving. And now there's no going back to simple, to linear, to understandable. They're creating a mythology, and you're the central figure, the shapeshifter, the trickster, the phoenix, the storm, every archetype they've ever read about in stories now embodied in one person who refuses to stay defined. And the mythology is spreading. It's reaching people who've never even met you. They're hearing about you secondhand, thirdhand, through whispered stories and confused retellings. And they're already forming opinions about someone they've never encountered, already creating their own theories, already adding to the folklore. You're becoming less of a person and more of an idea, less of an individual and more of a phenomenon. And maybe that's exactly what you needed to become to finally be free of their need to understand you. Now we enter the part they really can't process, the part that makes their logical minds shut down completely. They're starting to notice the timeline inconsistencies, the geographical impossibilities, the physical contradictions. Wait, they were at that event in one city, but I saw them the same night 3 hours away? That's not possible. Someone says, I have a screenshot of them posting from their apartment while someone else swears they were at their house hanging out. Another adds, "They told me they don't travel, but I've heard stories about them being in 5 different countries this year." A third mentions, "And before you say it, no, you're not actually teleporting or existing in multiple places simultaneously, but you've learned something they haven't. You've learned that if you move through the world without needing to be tracked, without needing to announce every location, without needing to maintain a consistent narrative for their comfort, you effectively become everywhere and nowhere." They're trying to build a chronological timeline of your life, and it's not working. The pieces don't fit. There are gaps they can't explain. Periods where you seem to vanish completely, then reappear with new skills, new knowledge, new energy that doesn't match the time that passed. "What were you doing for those 6 months?" they ask, and your vague answer only deepens the mystery, because the truth that you are dying and resurrecting, that you are breaking yourself down and rebuilding from scratch, that you are learning to operate on frequencies they don't have access to, that truth sounds crazier than any lie you could tell. So you just smile and let them wonder. And here's where it gets really interesting. They're starting to claim they've met you in places you've never been. Someone swears they saw you at a concert you didn't attend. Another insists they had a conversation with you at a party you never went to. A third claims they worked with you at a company you've never heard of. And you're standing there thinking either they're confusing you with someone else, or something stranger is happening, something about your energy, your essence, your presence being so distinct that it's imprinting on reality in ways that transcend your physical location. You've become so much yourself that you're creating echoes, phantoms, versions that exist in perception even when you're not there. They're comparing photographs now, pulling up old images and recent ones, putting them side by side, and they genuinely can't believe it's the same person. The eyes are different, they insist. The whole energy is different, they claim. Something fundamental changed, they argue. And they're not wrong, but they're also not right. Because yes, everything changed. You changed everything. But it's still you, just you, unconstrained by their need for you to remain static. They want to believe in the multiple versions theory. Because the alternative that one soul can contain this much transformation, this much death and rebirth, this much evolution without permission or explanation is too threatening to their comfortable worldview where people are supposed to stay recognizable. So the folklore grows wilder, more elaborate, more desperate to make sense of what they're experiencing. They're creating theories about parallel universes, about clones, about body doubles, about whatever science fiction concept helps them sleep at night. Because accepting the simple truth that you're just someone who refused to stay dead, who refused to stay small, who refused to stay anything long enough for them to label it, that's somehow more unbelievable than any fantasy they construct. You're the glitch in their matrix, the error in their code, the exception that breaks every rule they thought was absolute, and instead of expanding their understanding to accommodate you, they'd rather believe in impossible alternatives because those are somehow easier to accept. Let me tell you what's happening in the shadow conversations, the ones they think you'll never hear about. They're holding councils, literally gathering in small groups to discuss you like you're a case study, a problem to solve, a mystery that's personally offending them by refusing to be understood. Okay, let's list everything we know about them, one suggests. And they start writing it down, creating documents, making spreadsheets. And within minutes, they realize the lists contradict themselves. The data doesn't correlate. The person they're describing couldn't possibly be one individual, and yet somehow you are. Somehow you're all of it. Somehow you've managed to be so many things to so many people that you've fractured their collective ability to define you. They're looking for the real you. That's their mission now. They're convinced there's a core identity hiding beneath all the versions. A true self that once discovered will make everything else make sense. Will reveal which version was authentic and which were performances. But here's what they're never going to find. Here's the truth that would shatter them completely if they could grasp it. There is no real you anymore. Or maybe there is, and it's all of them simultaneously. Maybe you're most real when you're most contradictory. Maybe authenticity isn't consistency, but rather the courage to be whatever the moment demands without apologizing for not matching yesterday's version. You're not performing different roles, you're expressing different frequencies of the same impossibly complex existence, and they can't understand that because they're still pretending to be simple. Watch what happens when two people who know you from different contexts meet and start talking about you. It's like watching two people describe completely different species. One talks about your humor, your lightness, your ability to make any situation feel manageable, and the other is confused because they've only ever seen your intensity, your seriousness, your weighted presence that makes oxygen feel heavier. Neither is lying, neither is mistaken. They're both accurately reporting their experience of you. But you're like one of those optical illusions that shows two different images depending on how you look at it. Except you're doing this with your entire existence, your whole being becoming a sort of perceptual art piece that reveals different truths to different observers. And the more they talk, the more agitated they become. Because humans have this deep need to agree on shared reality, to confirm that what they're experiencing matches what others are experiencing, and you're breaking that fundamental social contract. You're making them question not just who you are, but their own perception, their own memory, their own ability to accurately understand another person. And that's threatening. On a primal level, it's destabilizing. It's the kind of thing that makes people either obsessed or avoidant, because you represent proof that consensus reality is more fragile than they thought, that the stories we tell about each other might be more fiction than fact, that maybe nobody actually knows anyone and we're all just interacting with projections and assumptions. So some of them give up, they tap out. They decide you're too complicated and they retreat to relationships that feel safer, more predictable, more manageable. But when you present uncertainty as the fix-it's-all, they put it to the test. And that's been... Oh, you have no idea, do you? You're sitting there right now, scrolling through your phone, wondering why everything feels different lately. Why the energy shifted, why certain people went quiet, why the group dynamics suddenly feel off. You're probably even questioning yourself, thinking maybe you did something wrong. Maybe you missed something. Maybe you're being paranoid. But let me stop you right there and tell you exactly what happened. You won. You won a game you didn't even know you were playing. You beat opponents you didn't know were competing. You crossed a finish line you couldn't see while they were still tying their shoes, plotting their next move, calculating their strategies. And you were just being yourself. And that's exactly why they're losing their minds right now. See, they had this whole chess match planned out in their heads. Every move calculated, every response predicted, every outcome controlled. They thought they were the puppet masters pulling strings from the shadows, watching you dance to their rhythm. They had their little meetings, their group texts, their careful orchestrations, all designed to put you exactly where they wanted you. Weak, dependent, manageable, controllable. But something went wrong, didn't it? Something they didn't account for in all their brilliant plan. You didn't follow the script. You didn't play the role they assigned you. You didn't crumble when they pulled their strings. Instead, you did something they never saw coming. You thrived without their permission. You succeeded without their validation. You evolved without their approval, and now they're sitting in the wreckage of their own game, wondering how the hell you ended up on top. Let me paint you the picture of what's happening behind closed doors right now. They're pacing back and forth, refreshing your social media, checking to see if you noticed, checking to see if you're affected, checking to see if their plan is working. But you're not reacting, are you? You're just living in that mundane, beautiful act of simply existing authentically is driving them absolutely insane. They spent months, maybe years, building this elaborate trap. Psychological warfare disguised as friendship manipulation, dressed up as concerned sabotage wrapped in fake support. They studied you, learned your patterns, identified your weaknesses, mapped out your triggers. They thought they had you figured out, thought they could predict your every move, thought they could control the narrative. But here's what they didn't understand about you. You operate from a frequency they can't access. While they were playing games, you were building character. While they were plotting destruction, you were constructing foundations. While they were spreading poison, you were growing immune, developing antibodies, becoming untouchable without even trying. And the most beautiful part? You did it all unconsciously. You weren't trying to win because you didn't know there was a competition. You weren't defending yourself because you didn't see the attacks. You were just authentically, genuinely, unapologetically being yourself. And that natural state of being turned out to be their kryptonite. You want to know what really happened? They tried to isolate you, but isolation became your transformation chamber. They tried to exclude you, but exclusion became your independence training. They tried to make you feel small, but the pressure just compressed you into a diamond. Every single weapon they aimed at you became a tool in your hand. Every trap they set became a stepping stone. Every wall they built became something for you to transcend. They whispered behind your back, thinking they were building an army against you. But those whispers reached the wrong ears, attracted the wrong attention, alerted people to their true nature. While they were recruiting soldiers for their petty war, the universe was aligning circumstances in your favor. People started seeing through their facade, started questioning their motives, started recognizing the patterns. Remember that project they tried to sabotage? It succeeded anyway, didn't it? Remember that opportunity they tried to block? A better one appeared from nowhere. Remember that relationship they tried to poison? It either strengthened or revealed itself as something you needed to release. Every single move they made to diminish you only highlighted your resilience, your authenticity, your unshakable core. They're having emergency meetings right now, trying to figure out where it all went wrong, analyzing every interaction, reviewing every plan, wondering how their foolproof strategy turned into their own humiliation. They're looking at each other with suspicion now, wondering who leaked information, who changed sides, who betrayed the plan. But the truth is simpler than that. The plan was flawed from the start because it was built on the assumption that you needed them. You're wearing a crown right now and you don't even know it. It's not made of gold or jewels. It's made of every test you passed without knowing you were being tested. It's forged from every manipulation that failed to manipulate you, every lie that couldn't deceive you, every game that couldn't play you. You're walking around with an invisible victory that everyone can feel but no one can explain. They see it in how you move now. There's something different about your walk, your talk, your presence. You're not trying to prove anything anymore because somewhere deep in your subconscious you know you've already won. You're not seeking validation because you've discovered self-sufficiency. You're not explaining yourself because you've realized the right people don't need explanations and the wrong people won't accept them anyway. The universe has been keeping score this whole time, documenting every injustice, every betrayal, every attempt to dim your light. And while you were focused on healing, on growing, on becoming, the universe was setting up your victory lap. Every person who wronged you is about to watch you soar. Every door they tried to close is about to swing wide open. Every bridge they burned is about to become irrelevant. Because you've learned to fly. Watch what happens next. Opportunities are about to find you like heat-seeking missiles. People are about to recognize your value without you having to demonstrate it. Doors are about to open that you didn't even know existed. Not because you're playing games or manipulating outcomes, but because authenticity in a world full of actors is the ultimate power move. Let's talk about what's happening in their camp right now because it's absolutely delicious. The paranoia has set in. They're questioning everything and everyone. The same tactics they used against you, they're now suspecting others of using against them. The same mistrust they tried to plant in your life has taken root in theirs. The same isolation they tried to create around you has become their prison. They can't sleep properly anymore. Every time they close their eyes, they see you thriving. Every success you have feels like a personal attack on their ego. Every smile you wear feels like mockery of their failed plans. They're obsessed with you now, more than ever, but not in the way they wanted. They wanted to be in your head, but instead, you're haunting theirs. The alliances they built are crumbling. See, manipulation requires constant maintenance, constant lies, constant energy to sustain. But truth maintains itself, while they're exhausting themselves, trying to keep their stories straight, trying to maintain their false narratives, trying to hold together their house of cards. You're just living in alignment with reality, and reality always wins in the end. They're turning on each other now. When a conspiracy fails, the conspirators always blame each other. They're pointing fingers, assigning blame, revising history to make themselves look less culpable. The group that united against you is dividing against itself. The bonds they formed in darkness can't survive in light, and your continued success is shining a spotlight on everything they tried to hide. Can you feel it? The cosmic shift that's happening around you? It's like the whole universe recalibrated to support your frequency. People who used to ignore you are suddenly interested. Opportunities that seemed impossible are suddenly available. Doors that were locked are suddenly open. This isn't coincidence. This isn't luck. This is what happens when you win a spiritual war without even fighting. They tried to lower your vibration with their negativity, but you maintained your frequency. They tried to drain your energy with their drama, but you conserved your power. They tried to infect you with their toxicity, but you stayed pure. And now, there's a magnetic field around you attracting everything they tried to keep from you, multiplied exponentially. Your phone's about to start ringing with opportunities. Your inbox is about to fill with invitations. Your presence is about to be requested in rooms you didn't even know existed. People are about to start confessing things to you, revealing truths, apologizing for their silence, offering support they withheld, not because you demanded it, but because the universe is course correcting. The same people who participated in the campaign against you are about to pretend they were always on your side. They're going to approach you with nervous smiles and fake enthusiasm, acting like nothing happened, hoping you don't remember their betrayal. They're going to try to attach themselves to your rising star, claim proximity to your success, rewrite history to include themselves in your victory. Here's the psychology they didn't account for when they made their plans. Every attack they launched at you was actually information. Every betrayal was education. Every manipulation was inoculation. They were teaching you their playbook, showing you their tactics, revealing their character. They thought they were weakening you, but they were actually training you, giving you intelligence, preparing you for bigger battles. You've developed abilities you don't even realize you have yet. You can now spot manipulation from miles away. You can sense fake friends before they fully materialize. You can detect lies in the subtle shift of energy. You've become psychologically sophisticated without attending a single psychology class. You've become strategically brilliant without ever strategizing. They created their own worst nightmare, a person who can see through all their tricks, a person who can't be manipulated because they've seen every manipulation, a person who can't be deceived because they've witnessed every deception, a person who can't be controlled because they've broken every mechanism of control. You're not just free, you're unfuckwithable. And the part that really burns them, you're not even trying to use these abilities against them. You're not seeking revenge, not planning retaliation, not orchestrating their downfall. You're just living your life with a new level of clarity, a new level of boundaries, a new level of self-respect. Your indifference to their games is more devastating than any revenge could ever be. You didn't plan this ascension, but here you are ascending anyway. You didn't strategize this victory, but here you are victorious anyway. You didn't manipulate this outcome, but here you are with the ultimate outcome anyway. This is what happens when authenticity meets deception, when truth confronts lies, when genuine power encounters fake authority. They're watching you rise and they can't figure out the formula. They're trying to decode your strategy, but there is no strategy. They're trying to understand your tactics, but there are no tactics. You're winning by simply being what they could never be, real. In a world full of performance art, your authentic existence is revolutionary. Every level you rise reminds them of their own stagnation. Every achievement you unlock highlights their own emptiness. Every moment of joy you experience contrasts with their bitterness. They thought they were pushing you down, but they were actually pushing you up. They thought they were burying you. Watch how the universe responds to your energy now. Resources you need will appear. People you need will arrive. Information you need will find you. Paths you need will open. Not through force or manipulation, but through alignment. You're in sync with something bigger than their small games, something more powerful than their petty plots. Karma isn't just coming, it's already here, and it's moving at unprecedented speed. Usually karma takes its time, plays the long game, lets things marinate. But in your case, it's like someone hit the fast forward button. The consequences of their actions are manifesting in real time, and they're scrambling to understand why everything is falling apart so quickly. That promotion they tried to block you from getting, they just got passed over for one themselves. That relationship they tried to sabotage, their own just imploded. That reputation they tried to destroy, theirs is crumbling from foundations they thought were solid. It's not that you cursed them, it's that they cursed themselves, and the universe is simply returning to sender. They're experiencing the confusion they tried to create in your life, the isolation they tried to impose on you, the doubt they tried to plant in your mind. Every single thing they projected onto you is boomeranging back with interest. They're living in the reality they tried to construct for you and finding out it's actually hell. But here's the thing about karma that makes this even sweeter. It's not just punishing them, it's rewarding you. Every loss they experience is matched by your gain. Every door that closes for them opens for you. Every bridge they burn lights your path forward. The universe is performing a massive transfer of energy, assets, and opportunities from their account to yours. There are people watching this whole situation unfold who haven't said a word. They saw what was done to you. They noticed the patterns, recognized the games, witnessed the injustice. They didn't speak up then, but they're taking notes now. They're seeing who you really are versus who you were painted to be, and the contrast is striking. These silent witnesses are about to become your loudest supporters. They are about to break their silence, share their observations, validate your experience. They're about to approach you with information you didn't know they had, support you didn't know was available, alliance you didn't know was possible. The narrative is shifting without you having to say a word. The truth has a way of surfacing, especially when lies have been working overtime to keep it submerged. People are connecting dots, recognizing patterns, seeing through the smokescreen. The campaign against you is being exposed, not by your efforts, but by its own unsustainability. Your reputation is rehabilitating itself automatically. Your character is being revealed through consistency. Your value is being recognized through contrast. You don't have to defend yourself because reality is doing it for you. You don't have to prove anything because the proof is in the results. They're being haunted by you now, but not in the way you think. You're not actively in their life, but you're permanently in their head. Every time they try to feel good about themselves, they remember what they did to you. Every time they try to play victim, they remember how they victimized you. Every time they try to move forward, they're pulled back by the weight of their actions. You've become their psychological benchmark. They measure every interaction against how they treated you. They compare every relationship to what they lost with you. They evaluate every opportunity against what they tried to take from you. You're the standard they can never meet, the rinder they can never escape, the lesson they can never unlearn. Their guilt is eating them alive, but they can't admit it because admitting it would mean admitting they were wrong. So they're stuck in this purgatory of knowing but not acknowledging, suffering but not healing, declining but not changing. They're prisoners in a jail they built, guards in a prison they designed. The worst part for them? You've moved on. You're not thinking about them while they can't stop thinking about you. You're not planning revenge while they're paranoid about retaliation. You're not holding grudges while they're drowning in guilt. Your peace is their torment. Your success is their failure. Your indifference is their obsession. This situation has elevated you in ways you haven't even realized yet. You've graduated from a school you didn't know you were attending. Until you've earned a degree in human nature, emotional intelligence, and spiritual warfare. You've been initiated into a level of understanding that most people never reach. You now move through the world with a different kind of knowledge. You see through social facades, recognize hidden agendas, understand unspoken dynamics. You've developed a sixth sense for authenticity versus performance, truth versus manipulation, genuine connection versus strategic association. These skills are invaluable, and you gained them through trial by fire. Your standards have been upgraded automatically. You no longer accept treatment you once tolerated. You no longer engage with energy you once entertained. You no longer invest in people who aren't invested in your highest good. Your boundaries aren't just boundaries, they're fortress walls, and everyone can sense they're impenetrable. Nobody can sense they're impenetrable. The quality of people entering your life now is completely different. You're attracting souls who vibrate at your new frequency. People who match your authenticity, your depth, your resilience. The universe is sending you tribe members who actually deserve to witness your light. People who can actually appreciate your value. Beings who actually comprehend your worth. Without realizing it, you now hold every strategic advantage. You know their playbook, but they don't know yours because you don't have one. You understand their motivations, but they can't comprehend yours because authenticity is foreign to them. You can predict their moves, but they can't predict yours because genuine action doesn't follow manipulative patterns. You're playing a different game now, one they don't even know exists. While they're still playing checkers, you've transcended the board entirely. While they're still thinking in terms of winning and losing, you're thinking in terms of growing and flowing. While they're still operating from ego, you're operating from soul. This gives you an insurmountable advantage in every area of life. In career, you'll rise because you're focused on value, not politics. In relationships, you'll thrive because you're offering truth, not performance. In personal growth, you'll accelerate because you're building on solid ground, not shifting sand. Every arena they tried to block you from has become your domain. They prepared you for success in ways they never intended. Their opposition became your opposition research. Their resistance became your resistance training. Their attempts to break you became your breakthrough catalyst. They literally trained you to be unstoppable, and now they have to watch you be exactly that.